What we do here is go back.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bare Knuckles' Most Wanted podcast on Fight Mixer TV. I'm Matthew Kohler, and I am joined this evening by an excellent crowd of folks. Of course, we have Matt Seibel down in the corner. You, of course, have Jules Gray, and right over here, the man, Shannon the Cannon Ritch, is joining us this evening. So welcome, everybody, to the program. Welcome, Shannon, our guest. And so it's been an interesting last couple of weeks for you, Shannon.
Man, I'll tell you what, it's been crazy. It's been one ride. It's a wild ride, baby.
Yeah, definitely a wild ride. So have you ever experienced in your career anything quite like that, or even heard of something quite like that?
There's been a couple times that's been really close, but this one tops the cake, man. This has been, I've never seen anything like this. You go to an event and it's not sanctioned. The guy has no money, and then obviously the event just falls apart. So it was nuts.
Right. And of course, for our viewers, if you're not familiar with the story, we're talking about the incident at Ranarok Bare Knuckles. So they were supposed to hold an event in Norway, and just over a week ago, I guess, and there was a big build-up to it, a lot of talk about how it was going to be this really, really cool promotion, really unique concept. I still think the concept could work. The concept itself, I don't think it was a bad idea. So I really hope to see somebody pick that up at some point. But I hope to see I hope to see it be more successful, certainly, than it was this time. So, but we're at the last minute, essentially. The event was canceled, and so we have had on both of the owners of Ranarok. They both have a different story. We gave them each the opportunity to tell their side of the story, and we've also had a number of fighters that were supposed to fight on the card that have come forward to tell their side of the story. So, and that's really, Shannon, that's why you're here. We want to hear your story and hear from your point of view exactly what happened, and just hear your thoughts, man.
Okay, so let's just start from on Facebook. And are you guys hearing me okay? Because it seemed like there was a lag there.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I saw an ad on Facebook, man. It was talking about this Ranarok Bare Knuckle boxing event that was going to be held in Norway. I sent the guy a message. It happened to be a guy named Stan Hofstetter, I think this is his last name. And he said, "Hey, Shannon, yeah, I know who you are. I'd love to have you come fight. Let's negotiate." So I negotiated the terms. He sent me a contract. I signed the contract. Everything was good. I mean, it was a huge buildup. I mean, he's talking about this is going to be some major event. We have a signed contract. Everything's good. Then all of a sudden, COVID happened and some things like that. So they postponed the event. He said, "Hey, man, don't worry. We postponed it. But guess what, man? Everything's going to be great." And then all of a sudden, we got a new date. And then he says, "Hey, guys, the English fighters cannot come due to COVID restrictions. And they're now, they got out of the EU, and I still jumped through my hoops, and I said, I still want to fight, and they got me a new opponent, and they said, okay, we're gonna make the fight for what is this? August 21st in Norway, and I said, okay, man. So I jumped through a ton of hoops. And we're talking about getting the vaccine. We're talking about getting all these medicals because I'm the age over 35. We're talking about buying my own airfare due to the fact that it's just a lot easier sometimes to buy your own airfare and then just have them reimburse you. That way you're not stuck on some 20, 30, 40 hour layover. You can just my wife is really good at, to be honest with you. She can buy tickets that nobody else can figure it out. So end up getting some first class, business class tickets for like $2,500, and then a regular coach ticket was like $1,800. So why not just pay the extra money, fly first class? So yeah, we did that, and then obviously I got the agreement from Stan. Hey, as soon as you land, we're gonna reimburse you for your flights, reimburse you for your medicals, reimburse you for all the money that you spent. I said, okay, great, man, it's good. I got a contract. I feel good. So I get to Norway, and all of a sudden, the immigration police, they pull me aside and say, hey, we're not going to let you in our country. First of all, you got to get a COVID test. Okay, well, take the COVID test, come back negative. And then they say, well, we're not going to accept your vaccine because you're you don't have the right QR code. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then they put us in a quarantine hotel, and they had us locked up, literally for a week. We're stuck in this hotel. And every single day, the promoter's telling me, hey, Shannon, me and my lawyer, we're going to come get you out. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. We got you. And for 4 days, I sat there and wait, and he never showed up. The promoter that is supposed to be taking care of all the fighters, he never shows up. So I'm just literally stuck there. Every day I'm going back talking to the police. Finally, I get them to agree to release me. I show them that, I'm a fighter. I've been traveling my whole life. I've been doing this for, 20 years. There was a lady named Iwa and Kaja. They were the pay-per-view ladies, and they literally went to the police station with me, and they talked to the police as well. And I think it's them that really got me out, and so that was cool. So I'm out. So now I'm free. I'm not locked up anymore in this quarantine hotel. That was a quarantine hotel from hell, and that hotel was $1,000, man. I think it's kind of a scam. The government there, like, they say, okay, you're quarantined, but you got to go to this hotel and you got to pay this much money. And the rates were just ridiculous, So yeah, so that's $1,000 gone. And make a long story short, I told Stan, I said, hey man, I'm sitting here for 4 days. I'm locked up in this hotel. You said you're going to come visit me and get, talk to me, everything, give me my money, my travel money, all the money that I spent to just reimburse just to get to Norway. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, man, I'm going to pay you. And he ends up sending like a sixth of what he's supposed to be sending me. It's not even close to what he was supposed to send. But there, he did send a little bit of the money. So during that time, I already had changed my flight from Stavanger to Kristiansand, which is like 4-hour drive. And Kristiansand is where the event was going to be held. So I had to go there anyway. So me and my wife, we drive the 4 hours. We get there, and we do this supposed weigh-in, and Stan shows up with a scale that literally he just bought at Walmart. And there's maybe 12 guys in there. So if 12 guys, you figure there's 6 fighters, so there's gonna be 6 fights. My opponent was there, so that was thankfully, we want to fight. We're all sitting there and we're talking, and my opponent literally stands up and says, hey, first of all, show me that you have documentation from the government saying that this is legal. Show me that you have a medical staff, you have a doctor, an ambulance, you have judges and a referee and all that. He couldn't produce anything. Nothing. He went literally and got on the internet and typed, printed some stuff up and said, hey, these are the rules. And there's a guy named Hans. Hans is, he's a fighter that was going to fight on the card as well. And he said, hey, anybody over the age of 35, if you hit somebody with a closed fist in Norway, you go to jail. And I'm like, wow, man, that's pretty weird. They don't even have boxing there. It's illegal. Boxing is illegal. Regular boxing is illegal. So Norway is the most craziest country I've ever been to. I can't even imagine it. So anyway, his girlfriend is like a paralegal or something, and she's like knows the law. And she's like, Stan, this is what you just gave us is bullshit. And he couldn't deny it. So he pretty much said, yeah, we're gonna have to change the rules. We're not gonna allow to hit with a closed fist. We can't knock each other out. And we're looking at each other like, guys, we're here to do professional bare knuckle boxing. I'm not here to play slap fight. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
That would be a crazy ass event, though.
Yeah,
if it went on and then there's just a bunch of big ass dudes slapping each other, I mean,
yeah, I don't know, man. So
but it's a joke, right? It would have been a joke.
Yeah, was crazy.
Jesus, good Lord. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. So literally my opponent, he says, dude, I'm out of here. And you have done nothing but lie to us. And he says, hey, Shannon, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be a part of this event. Stan, give me the money you owe me. Stan's like, oh, well, I've paid some of you guys and they're, sent some money. I'm like, look, man, I raised my hand. I said, I got this all on video as well. I said, I'm not asking for my fight purse. All I'm asking for is being reimbursed for the money that I spent to get to your country. And, that's more or less the moral of the story was he had no money. He tried to check this out. He told this guy Stan or Hans, he goes, hey, because you're in Norway and you're hanging out with Shannon, you guys are buddies, I'll send money to your account. You go to the bank and just give Shannon cash. We're like, okay, that's how it's working. I don't have to wait till I get to the States. So that being said, he did send that much. I don't know if you can see that, but he sent that much money, and he sent that much money, and then it sent and literally showed us a receipt saying, "Hey, we sent all the money." But what he did was he got a picture of sending the money, and he never pushed send. He like resend it or something. The money never came.
That's shady.
Yeah, dude, that's shady, man. That's shady as shit. And then fast forward, we said, hey man, we're out of here. We got out of there. Me and my wife, we jumped on a plane, went to Norway. Amsterdam. We just had a little vacation in Amsterdam. But the sad part is, look, guys, there's a ton of these fighters who were expecting, the fans who bought tickets. Everybody was expecting this big event. It didn't. My heart is broken for all these guys that they needed that money. I'm just chalking it up to, I got an expensive vacation and lost some money, but It is what it is. Thank God Dave Feldman and Nate Shook stepped up and they said, hey, Shannon, we know you got screwed over. Why don't you come fight for us? You've always been a good fighter. I got one of their BKFC belts. They're like, yeah, come fight for us and we'll treat you right. And they always do. Dave Feldman and Nate Shook are great guys. They run a great event and hats off to them. And, I really do appreciate them giving me the opportunity to fight again. And then there was another thing about Andrew. Okay, Andrew Blackwell is the other co-promoter, but see, everyone doesn't understand. Andrew was a matchmaker. It'd be like Sean Shelby for the UFC. He's just a matchmaker. He's just dealing with the fighters. He's not dealing with getting a venue, getting sponsors, dealing with the money or anything like that. Sean Shelby is just a matchmaker. So he's dealing with fighters. And Stan is more or less throwing Andrew under the bus, going, "Oh, it's all Andrew's fault. It's all Andrew's fault." Andrew had nothing to do with it, man. Nothing. Matter of fact, I never even talked to Andrew until I was already booked on the fight and started. We messaged back and forth. Still to this day, I've never even met him, so I can't say anything bad about Andrew. Actually, Andrew called, he literally messaged me on Facebook Messenger and called me and said, "Hey, Shannon, this is like 3 days before I was still quarantined," and he said, "We are. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go back to England because Stan can't produce any money." He said he had all this sponsor money and all this blah blah blah. He's banking on ticket sales and he's banking on pay-per-view buys, and you can't do that. You can't run an event on future stuff. You got to have the money already sitting in your account. So so that's poor management on that part. So more or less the whole event blew. But we, like I said, me and my wife went back to Amsterdam. There's a guy named Michelle Lopes. He's a actor. He's on Game of Thrones and on Vikings. He's got this big Viking beard. I've known the guy for a long time. He's a good friend of mine, fellow actor. And he was there, and he was there through the whole thing. He's got pictures of these guys coming into Stan's office. He busted open the door, and inside his cabinet was a whole plate of cocaine. So, I don't know if the dude's on drugs or what, but he showed me a picture of a plate full of cocaine, and it was in Stan's office. You put two and two together. Yeah, I've been around for a while. I kind of understand what's going on here. So the fight was gonna happen. We left, and then they ended up getting a ring, and the ring didn't fit, so they were gonna drill through the stage in the venue. The venue people came out and said, "Hey, you can't do that. You can't tear up our stage." So they called the police. So the police came. They shut the whole thing down and said, "No, this is not gonna happen." Well, Stan, I guess, pissed off some of his investors and some other people. I guess a group of Italians and some German guys got a hold of Stan, and they thumped him up pretty good. He had a big cut on his eye. But that's what happens, man. You fuck with fighters, man. You gotta, listen. You may end up happen,
100%, 100%.
thought it was
Everything that
everybody knew combat sports is all mobbed up. Isn't that a given?
I mean, I
Look,
don't
man,
know that I would necessarily say that. I mean,
I fought in Russia and I fought in Japan, and she's right. It's mobbed up.
it's a matter of vernacular. You know what I mean?
And the other thing is also, doesn't this sound eerily
I just say I don't want
similar to something else that happened not too long ago to another promotion similar?
Yeah, I mean,
That's all I can think. You know, the story is so similar.
Well, it's happened to me. Let's see, I had 236 MMA fights, 26 and 3 bare knuckle fights, and this is like the fourth time that's happened to me in 30 years. So it's not very common, but it used to be real common. Guys would bounce you checks, but nobody does checks anymore. So, so that's a little better. But yeah, I mean, it's in this day and age. God, man, everybody's like, you got to get a contract. Okay, I got a contract, but what's that contract gonna do? It's in Norway, and I'm in the U.S.
And then, what would have happened? How dangerous would that have been for you to be stuck over there if you didn't have the things that you needed, the finances that you needed? Some of these fighters, look, they literally fight to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. If I didn't have the money for the hotel, I don't know what would have happened. I'd probably be in jail. Because they literally said, they snatched us up and said, you have to go to this hotel. And if I didn't have the money to pay for that hotel, I don't know what would happen. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So everything that you're sort of saying, I mean, a lot of it, Stanley actually said himself, and it maybe worded it a little bit differently, and in the comments during Stanley's interview, he was asked about the drugs. Someone mentioned something about some drugs being found in his office.
Yeah.
And he just said, I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah, well, I got the picture. I can show it to you.
Yeah, well,
Michelle Hope sent it to me. I can show it to you guys. I mean,
I may have already seen that picture.
Yeah. But it's
I want to see.
The whole thing at the end of the day, the whole thing is super wild. There were so many things, and I'm just like, so really the question in my mind, obviously the whole thing got just totally screwed up from start to finish, and I mean, and it was never really going to happen, probably.
Right. Well, he didn't have a sanction. I mean, you can't do a non-sanctioned event, especially in Norway. You're going to jail. But plain and simple, those cops over there don't mess around, man.
Right. But I guess the question in my mind is this an issue? And I'd love to hear your opinion. But is this an issue of corruption, or just an issue of someone that just couldn't get it done?
Look, he couldn't get it done due to the fact that it's him all by himself, and he's never promoted an event before, so therefore he's not a promoter. I don't think he has any clue what he's doing. But I have to actually blame it on him 100% because Hans is okay. Norway is really small, guys. So Hans is a fighter that lives in Norway, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He owns a big gym. He knows a lot of people, and I guess he was going to help Stan and have guys come in as cornerman, cutman, coaches, guys that wrap the wrist, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they found out that Stan was involved, and they walked away. They said, "No, man, we're not going to work with Stan." So when you got other people in that kind of industry say, "Hey, we're not going to work with this guy," that's a red flag right there. So Hans was literally like.
I was going to ask you that, like, through the whole process when they were, contacting you, when they were debating, y'all were negotiating, was there any other red flags that you you're kind of like, maybe I shouldn't go?
Yeah, this is what's so weird about this is because, he got me on this. I mean, a guy could be a great car salesman. I mean, he literally told me, okay, here, man, I'm sending you out the contract. Everything that you wrote in your contract that you wanted, boom, you got it. You're going to have somebody pick you up at the airport. You have transportation. You're going to pay for airfare, hotel, food. It was all in the contract.
Yeah. And what are you supposed to believe? And
you know what? The guy was calling me every 2-3 days. And what kind of? I mean, look, Dana White is the face of the UFC. Do you think he's on the phone personally talking to every fighter? I never. Yeah, Dana's not talking to you unless he sees you after the fight and you won. Stan is the promoter, not the matchmaker. He's the promoter, And he's calling me every 2-3 days going, hey, man, do you need anything? Everything's good. We're getting all these sponsorships. He told me that Porsche was going to be a big sponsor. He's got Porsche, and everyone's going to get picked up in a brand new Porsche. And I mean, he's just blowing this up. He's saying he had these rappers coming out. This is going to not just be a fight. It was going to be an event. So.
Yeah. So do you believe that he believed all that? Or do you think he was just pulling it out of his ass?
You know what, man? It's hard to guys that are delusional. It's hard to believe what they believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to know what they believe. I think he honestly believed up until the very end. I mean, even
somehow
when
it's all
walking out. He was still trying to figure out a way to make it happen.
Yeah. He wanted it so bad, and that's what I got. Is this guy really did want this to happen? I really do believe that he spent an entire year of his life trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you know, I think that any reasonable person can just understand that, okay, it's time to pull the plug. It's probably not going to happen. And he just didn't do that.
Right.
And I don't know what the motivation behind that was. Or if he just really, he was so deep that he couldn't get himself to a place to even convince himself that was the case, even though he might have deep down known it. You know, who knows?
And I wasn't the only one. There were guys from Italy. There were guys from Sweden. The guys obviously from Europe. Man, this guys, a lot of guys just showed up, you know, and they were ready to fight. And these guys are tough guys, man. And I really feel bad for them that they're not going to be able to fight. You know, we all have sponsors. I mean, that's how I do good. You know, I got a lot of good sponsors. If it wasn't for my sponsors, I don't think I'd be able to be in such a good spot. And plus, I own a gym, and you know, a lot of fighters are working, you know, a 40-hour week plus, and then they're trying to fight as well. You know, me, I'm you know, kind of on the end of my career, and I've already made a career. So yeah, I mean, I feel bad for these guys that, you know, they needed that couple grand really bad.
Sure.
What about, how do you actually deal with that as far as sponsors go, and they've sponsored and they're expecting their logos to be on there? I know some of our fighters, we sign contracts with the sponsors and tell them, you know, this is what we're giving you for this amount of money. So, and you couldn't give that whenever the fight is canceled. So how do you deal with that?
So personally, you know, I've obviously been doing this for 30 years. I got a great agent. His name is Jay Catton. He's worked out of Las Vegas. He works with the UFC, Bellator. He manages some top guys. Happens to be a really good friend of mine. So every time that I do a contract with sponsors, it says that there's a clause in there. If the fight gets canceled out of my control, you know, we're not liable. But that being said, I'm a man of my word. These guys gave me a ton of money. I owe my sponsors a fight. That's why when Dave Feldman and Nate Shook said, hey, we'll have you fight for us, I jumped on it. I called my sponsors and said, hey, this fight got canceled, but this fight's going to happen. So I will promote you and wear your logos on this fight. Plus, anything else I do, I'm going to go ahead and keep promoting you too. So, yeah, I bend over backwards for my sponsors. My sponsors, they treat me really well. And, you know, I owe it to them, actually.
Yeah, 100%.
So can we get a heads up, or has it been released? Like, what is your new fight?
Well, see, Dave Feldman and Nate Shook said that October 22nd, BKFC is going to be in Chandler, Arizona. So right now, I'm just waiting on the.
That's in your backyard.
Yeah, it's my hometown. So I'm waiting for Nate and Dave to give me it's 100% a go. I mean, they've already told me it's a go, but I think right now they're in the final stages of dealing with the boxing commission and getting all that, you know, all that handled. So before they can release it, they got to make sure all their, you know, I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Yeah.
This time, are you going to look at the paperwork to make sure that's truly happened?
What's that?
I was saying, are you going to make sure it truly happens this time, that they actually have government approval?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
I don't think Phil.
I don't. They felt, look, if you guys go all the way back to when bare knuckle boxing first came out, and it hadn't happened in 100 years. If you look on the thing, Bobby Gunn was the main event. Dave Feldman had it right here at Fort McDowell, Arizona, and I was a commentator. So I mean, I've been with Dave since it started. You know, he had a dream to bring bare knuckle boxing back after 100 years. We finally got, or they finally got it sanctioned. Man, it's been a long road, you know, 10 years to get it sanctioned. And now look, it's the fastest growing sport, combat sport in the world. I mean, everybody wants to do bare knuckle boxing except Logan or Jake Paul. I mean, I told Jake Paul take off the mittens and let him and I fight. You know, I would love to fight him bare knuckle. Shit, I'd like to fight him boxing. That was just an embarrassment last night. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it was embarrassing. I watched that, and I'm glad I didn't pay for it. I went to a bar and we watched it there. Man, horrible. Jake Paul, listen to me, buddy. I'll fight you boxing or I'll fight you bare knuckle. You decide. I'll get a tattoo that says I love Jake Paul.
The best
I don't care, brother.
call outs happen on
That's the second best call out.
That's a good call. So last night on our show, Shannon, we had Damon Feldman, who of course is the president of celebrity boxing and also David's brother.
Right.
And so we did have Damon call David out to a celebrity boxing match.
Nice.
On our show. So that was kind of cool. And now we got you calling out Jake Paul. So here we go.
Well, I did it before, man. I put out a video a couple months ago, actually saying that I'd love to fight Jake Paul because I think he's a YouTube sensation, but he's a horrible fighter. I mean, he's only been fighting for what, a year, 2 years, something like that. He's never fought a striker. The guy goes out and fights wrestlers. If you can't beat a wrestler in a boxing match, you got no business boxing anyway.
I mean, yeah.
Should we play the clip for Damon? Of Damon?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go for it.
Damon.
But I've got sometimes I got a little bit of anger I need to work out. You know, everybody's got that. But I'll turn that question on you. Who would you fight on celebrity boxing if you had a choice?
His brother.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
What's that?
You and your brother.
Everybody wants to see me and my brother go at it because we always did
We're
that.
both good. Like,
It'd be a great draw.
Listen, he was born one. I know he's the king of celebrity. I'm the king of celebrity boxing. He's the king of bare knuckles. Do it.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
Oh yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Damon Feldman.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, so we've had 2 nights of great call outs with awesome guests. So we appreciate it. But so we know that you're fighting BKFC in Arizona next.
October 22nd.
You said is it October 22nd?
Yeah,
awesome.
October 22nd.
Awesome. Is there a venue in place yet? Are you aware? Do you know?
I heard there was a venue, but again, all the contracts haven't been signed
It's
yet,
all
so.
in the final stages of
It's all
preparation.
in the final season. Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
And I heard that
I'm not going to release it before David.
Right, of course.
Obviously.
Am I wrong? Is Chad Mendez debuting on that card also?
He is. He's going to debut, be the main event. You got Chad Mendez, and then you got Beck Rollins, and then you got me.
Cool. Well, that's going to be a killer show.
Oh, dude, the guys in Arizona, there's a ton of tough guys here, man. Arizona's a mecca for MMA, bare knuckle boxing, kickboxing. Bob Carmel has, and Nick Chastain, they have Golden Era Muay Thai. They have the toughest fighters in Arizona, man. Hands down.
That's awesome.
Were they talking about doing tryouts in Arizona also?
That's right. We already did a BKFC tryout. We already did one already, and I'm sure they're going to do another one. Sure.
Very good. Very good. So I'm trying to read through a couple of these comments, but people have so much to say. So, really? Jake Paul eats ball sack is what Colin has to say.
Kind of. Hey, look, man, I'm serious. If anybody knows Jake Paul or how to get a hold of him, you tell him this old guy, Shannon Cannon, old guy. I'm an old grandpa, man. I mean, I'll come in there and I'll put this little kid to bed.
Well, there you go.
No
so,
doubt about that.
Shannon, how many fights do you think you got left in your career?
I got a handful, man. I'll be 51 in September. At the end of the month, I'll be 51. Look, man, for 51, I'm good to go.
Shannon, I don't want to fight you. I'd rather be friends.
You fight him.
Hey, you win some, you lose some. You know what I mean? But I'm always there to entertain. That's one thing. I've never backed down from anybody. I've always been there. I always showed up. Always made weight. Since 1991, I've been fighting bare knuckle and I've been fighting MMA, and I've never not made weight. I'm always a professional. Come to fight.
Awesome. I had another heavyweight bare knuckle fighter make a comment towards me on a podcast the other day, and I said something nice back in the chat, and he's like, "Oh, he's just scared that I'm going to come and put a whooping on him." I'm like, "Yeah, of course that's why." But he's like, "Oh, he'd run, blah blah blah," and I'm like, I'm a country boy.
Doesn't he know you're real good friends with Sam Shoemaker also?
Well, this particular gentleman has a fight with Sam Shoemaker coming up on September 10th.
Josh,
So.
the hammer.
Oh,
Hey, so I'm actually going to try to make it out to that fight because I want to see
Cool.
Josh and I want to see Sam throw down.
It's going to be a hell of a fight, man.
Yeah, Mark Coleman will be there, and it's going to be good stuff.
I'm expecting fireworks in that fight. I mean,
non-stop, dude. Every time Josh fights, it's fireworks. Sam, same thing, man. They both come to fight. That's why I like them so much. The both guys, they both swing for the fences, and they're going to knock somebody out. Somebody's
yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Both big powerful guys.
Have you ever hit one of those machines that tells you how much pressure you're punching with?
I have. I think I have. Yeah.
And what was your number?
Couldn't tell you. No.
Yeah.
I want to know.
But I hit hard.
Yeah. I don't think that.
I promise you, I hit hard.
I wouldn't be in front of that.
But yeah, Sam and Josh, they're going to put on a great fight, and that whole card's going to be great, in my opinion. You got a number of really number of fights I'm really looking forward to. So it's gonna be cool.
Top to bottom, Nate always puts on a great fight card. So
absolutely, and just man, Shannon, I'm just excited about the growth of the sport in general.
Yeah, and look at the girls, the women's division too, man. You can't leave them out. A lot of people like Dana White. He was really like mixing on women fighting, and he didn't do it for a long time. I think some of the best fights have been women.
100%.
Girls go out there and they bang, dude. I love to watch a women fight. Man.
I'm telling you right now, nobody wants that Christine Freya smoke.
Yeah,
nobody.
Exactly, 100%.
It's so hard to get her a contract.
But the sport is blown up. There are a number of promotions that are doing a really great job, and I'm so sorry that you had to be involved with one that did a really bad job. So I feel for you. I feel for all the other fighters. The whole situation is super unfortunate. So my condolences go out to everybody that was affected negatively in the situation. I feel bad for all you guys, but Shannon,
I think we may have a call out from the comments. Connor McKenna says I'm down.
Connor McKenna,
and he says
he wants to call out Shannon. Yeah, there you go. He wants on the Arizona card. Well, hey, Connor, give Nate Shook a shout out.
Yep.
Get in Nate Shook's inbox, and that's how you get it
done. Shannon's just a man.
If you have any girls who want to do, if you know any girls that want to do bare knuckle boxing, send them my way.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I need some girls on my roster.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead. So Fight Mixer Management, and that's our company. So we're Fight Mixer TV, and we are Fight Mixer Management, and our fighters that we represent are Bare Knuckles Most Wanted, and this is Bare Knuckles Most Wanted podcast. That's how it works. So, but it's a lot of fun. But hey, Shannon, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest before you go, or anything like that?
If you guys are CBD guys, man, Rongo Avis is RONGOAVIS.com. They're my sponsor. If you like CBD, they have literally the best mixture of CBDs. They got roll-ons, man. So like if you got something like your shoulder, your elbow, they just roll it on like this, man. It's the greatest CBD there is. Skill Set Magazine, Pilgrim Ammunition. If you're a shooter and you need some ammo, go to pilgrimammunition.com.
I always need ammunition. Always need more.
Always.
You can never have enough.
We're a lot of
real quick. Next month is October. Obviously, my fight with BKFC is October, but also The Commando starring Shannon the Cannon Ritch and also a guy by the name of Mickey Rourke and Michael J. White. That's going to be at the movie theaters next month. Check it out.
And it's my birthday month.
That's a mic drop. That's a mic drop moment, Shannon.
Shannon, you also got a podcast.
That's awesome.
Correct?
Well, I do Shannon the Cannon. I do Cannon's Corner, and just been so busy I haven't been able to do it much. But yeah, I do have Cannon's Corner.
How exciting!
That's cool. So, where can our listeners find you on social media?
Well, they can go to at Shannon Ritch MMA. That's pretty much, you can find me anywhere there.
Awesome. Well, hey man,
always welcome on our show, Shannon.
It's always a pleasure to have you on.
All right, man. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you giving me the time to come out, give my side of the story, and I appreciate you guys doing what you do, making bare knuckle boxing the next most extreme fighting allowed by law, guys.
Boom.
Stuff.
Thank you, Shannon. We appreciate it. And again, come back anytime, sir.
All right, man. You guys have a good one.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Shannon.
Bye.
Well, there you go, Shannon the Cannon and Jules. It must be getting nighttime where
The
you're
sun
at.
is going
We
down.
can hardly see you.
There is a light in there, you know.
Yeah,
Flip on a
well,
light switch. Go flip on that light switch before we close this out here.
let's see.
That's a beautiful banner, by the way.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Nice looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great banner. So, all right, guys. Well, while Jules is in recess trying to figure out her situation so we can see her, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors of our show tonight. You, of course, have Dringer Nutrition is where we're going to start. Dringer Nutrition. Guys, if you're looking for some really, really good tasting nutrition products, everything from protein powder to pre-workout to recovery products, go check out drinkernutrition.com for all of your nutritional supplement needs. And listen, you're going to see Drinker Nutrition just really quickly before I get to the next one. Drinker Nutrition is one of the main sponsors of Sam Shoemaker for his next fight. So really, really grateful to those folks over there. And you're going to see Drinker Nutrition's logo on a lot of Sam's stuff going forward. Next sponsor I want to talk about is Dope Champ. Go check out Dope Champ for all of your Delta 8 needs. We're talking about flour, we are talking about gummies, and we're talking about tincture. So all really good stuff. Go check out Dope Champ for your Delta 8 needs.
And if you get a hold of me directly, you can have some.
Yes, that's nice. Those
But
nice.
I can't put them in the mail. So
Yeah. We can't mail them, but if you contact Matt and you happen to run into him on the street, he might be able to hook you up. So anyway, Jules is back. So Jules, what are your, okay, I want to hear everybody's thoughts. And I know that we've all been, before we wrap this thing up here, I know that we've all been following this story on Ragnarok from the beginning. And we've interviewed a number of people that were involved. And so I want to go around the table and get everybody's take on what are your thoughts on this situation. So I want to start with Jules, right down there. Jules, what are your thoughts?
I really think that the promotion had the right direction in mind, and the lack of experience and maybe some unfortunate mishaps along the way caused it to start collapsing. And instead of giving up or calling it off when they had the time, I think they tried to push through with hopeful, thoughts that they could kind of bring it in and recover, and it just didn't happen. And then, you get all those fighters there, and then everything just starts losing steam, and you're not getting stuff paid for anymore. You're expecting those ticket sales to pay your fighters, and really you can't do that. You have to have that initial investment to pay your fighters and pay for everything, and not depend on those ticket sales or on that money that you're making on the app or pay-per-view or whatever,
Right. Yes, I agree. That situation is so risky. It was
very risky.
So many risks. Again,
so many people in
it's a bad business call.
it was just, listen,
it's a bad business call.
It was
a failure.
It was, and it sucks because, it was so risky to think that you're going to pay people with money that has not come in yet.
Yes.
And so if it were me, and I had this big dream of starting a combat sports promotion of any kind, let alone bare knuckle, I need one of two things before I even consider that. I need a big chunk of money in the bank, and I can pay cash for everything. That's really, if I'm going to do it, I want to pay cash. Okay.
Not borrowed money. Not borrowed money either.
Well, but
it can't be investor money. Yes.
Yeah, investor money is one thing, but even if you do, let's say you go out and get like, if you're in the States, like get like a business loan, or whatever. The money has to be there for it, and probably I would put the fighter purses in escrow, and so that it's there, it's not going to go anywhere. But that money has to be there before you ever do anything else. And then so the fighters have to get paid first. The venue has to get paid also. And then from there, then you build on it, but you don't just, cross your fingers and hope for the stinking best. And I mean, like that's where I'm at now. Do I think Stanley made some mistakes? Yes, I do, and I think that that's apparent. And I don't think that he would even disagree with me on that. He made some big mistakes, but I don't think he's the only one.
Right.
I think that there were others involved that made mistakes also, and I think that they also would admit it. But at the end of the day, the fighters are the ones who really lost. I mean, Stanley did lose. I mean, listen, Stanley, like, yeah, a lot of people got screwed over, and a lot of people didn't get what they were supposed to get. But Stanley did too. He also screwed himself.
Right.
He lost a year of his life's work. He lost a ton of money that he had put into it. And yeah, man, like just the whole, and not only that, but Andy and Stanley both, their reputations are affected by this. It's extremely embarrassing. It has to be. And then of course the fans, that all of us that were looking forward to seeing this cool concept that if it executed properly would have been great.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I am the type of person who likes to look at, the positive. Now that they have absolutely learned what they cannot do, it's a brighter future from here. And maybe they will pull it together and they will come out stronger and brighter than they ever thought that they could, It just really depends on if they have that heart to keep moving forward.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a big thing. And, probably in my opinion, it's going to be a while before anybody is going to want to work with Stanley. I think that he's taken a lot of heat. Now, whether it's totally deserved, I think some of it is, but I don't know, things can get spun. Even though we've heard everyone's side of this, not everyone, but a lot, a number of different sides to this story. We've heard it, but does that mean that that's we heard the absolute truth? Well, that's for you guys to decide that are listening, and that's for us to make our own decision on, each of us individually. So, So I think that it would be cool, and we can. I do want to talk about some of our fighters as well, as we close out the last little bit of the show here. But if you want to, Matt, if you want to put the number up, and any of our guests, Mason Dixon says, I couldn't get an answer. So did you guys actually fight? So what? I don't know what you're talking about, Mason, but Matt's going to put a number on the bottom of the screen, and for any of our listeners. You can call the number, and you can actually call in live and talk to us on the show. So you can comment about the Ranarok situation. Of course, we'd love to hear our listeners' thoughts on that. Or if you just want to chat with us and talk about the show, we can do that too. So we love our listeners. We want to hear from you guys. But Mason, so call the number. Clarify your question there. Anybody that has a question in the chat, it's really tough to get to all of them, especially when we have a guest and you have a guy like me that never shuts up.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, it's really tough to answer all the questions from the chat, but I do try. I just kind of suck at it. But call in with your questions, guys. But yeah, we'll put the number up there on the screen, and if you want to call in, and we will be happy to talk to you. Unless you're like weird.
What did you feel like? There was anything that y'all would have seen? I know the fighters really didn't see a red flag, but was there any red flags from the beginning? I mean, we interviewed them before the fight.
We did. I think that the first, I mean, I knew that I had heard of Ranarok, and I knew that it was something that was coming down the pipeline. And they had done some promotion. Of course, I saw that they were using Shannon's image a lot to promote the promotion. Mm-hmm. I think the first red flag for me was the situation with the pay-per-view that happened the day that we interviewed Stanley and Shannon, which was like a week before the event was supposed to take place. So we had
what happened with the pay-per-view?
So we had the promoter, and then we had Shannon, who was just on the show. We had them both on about a week before the event was supposed to take place. And like that day, there were a bunch of they had put out a social media, like a press release type deal, saying anyone that has ordered the pay-per-view already will be reimbursed. Don't order from this pay-per-view website because we're changing the website
A week before the show.
Yeah, and a number of people had already ordered the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, from what I hear, and again, if you're listening and you ordered the pay-per-view and you didn't get reimbursed, let us know, because we would like to. I think that's worthy of being shared in public. So, but yeah, that was a red flag for me personally, because I'm like, that gives me a little bit of an odd feeling. And then they really didn't want to talk about it. Stanley at the time did not want to talk about it, and I could tell just body language wise that it did bother Shannon. It seemed off, but it didn't seem like, when we talked to them even just a few days before the show, like I said, Stanley was gung ho, man. Like, and Shannon was too. They both were excited. And of course, like, at that point, when promises are still being made and and contracts have been signed, of course, as a fighter, someone in Shannon's position is gonna do everything they can to plug the promotion and try to make the event a success. And that's a fighter doing their job. So of course you want to do that, but I don't know.
And then of course here we have David Feldman and Nate Shook swooping in and saving the day for some of these fighters.
Yeah, and
it's a lot.
I'm grateful that
it's not a very hard swoop for Shannon. He's Billy Badass. So
yeah, Shannon, like yeah. I don't want to, no disrespect to David and them, but Shannon, somebody's going to scoop that dude up pretty quickly. But yeah, no, I do think it's a good thing for Shannon that BKFC had a spot for him in the not too distant future. So that is
that's a good card to be on as well.
It's a great card.
Beck Rollins.
BKFC does put together some good cards. They do. They've got some really talented fighters, and they've done a good job. But if not for them, he would have landed somewhere else. I'm just telling you, like, that guy's not gonna. If he wants to work, he's gonna work.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it looks like we don't have any call-ins. So last night we started talking about our management company. And if you are a combat sports athlete and you have a prolific amateur record in boxing or MMA. Oh, Ken. All right, I'm going to stop. Full pause. Ken Olson. I don't know how many fighters have gotten their 50%, because Stanley did say that it was a 50-50 company. He owned 50% and Andy Bakewell owned 50%. And he committed on our show just a few days ago to paying the fighters the 50% of their purse that was on his. He'd pay his half. So Ken, I have no idea how many fighters have been paid their 50%. That's a great question, and I would like to know as well. So
be sure to come to our show and just comment.
Yeah, if you hear something, we want to know. Like, if we see your comment on this subject, we want to report it. So I have no idea how many fighters have gotten their 50%, but I would really, really like to know.
Shannon did say he got paid like this much.
But Shannon, from my understanding, was like one of the only people that was paid anything. And not only that, guys, but like there was this other whole issue that people haven't talked about that much, because there were some Swedish fighters coming over, and they had to cross the border illegally to get into the country. And Stanley even admittedly went over there and tried to help them cross the border into Norway from Sweden illegally. And then they all got arrested. The Swedish fighters and Stanley all stinking got arrested trying to cross the border illegally.
This is the most thrilling story.
This is freaking like a soap opera, bro. Like, this is crazy. The whole thing's nuts. And it could be like a daytime movie or something someday.
A soap opera.
And it could. You might have to introduce, like, I don't know, give them some cooler names and like make the characters a little bit better looking because everybody's sexy on soap operas. So
there you go.
This
is true.
we'd have to call Stanley Alejandro or something, So,
Well,
names,
Matt's pulling up our roster, which I'm
names were
assuming-
changed to protect the identities of those involved.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so we left off last night at Jamie Driver, so I want to pick right up, Jules. I'd like you to pick right up with Fred Pierce, and guys, if you guys are, like I was saying before, I totally chased a rabbit. If you're a combat sports athlete and you have a prolific amateur career in boxing, MMA, or Muay Thai, or any form of martial arts, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a professional winning professional record, we'd really like to hear from you. And if you are already a bare knuckle fighter, and you're looking to go in a different direction, or maybe you just don't have management at all, we'd love to talk to you, and at least have the conversation. And it may not always work, but at least it gets you on our radar, and we get that relationship going. Because it doesn't always make sense. And I'll just say this about and you guys can agree or disagree, but I'm the CEO, so I get to say stuff like this. Don't, guys, in regard to management, and I'll tell any fighter this, don't ever pay someone for something that you can do yourself. But if you have things, certain aspects of your career that you need some help with, we can do all of it, or we can do part of it. We're really, really flexible, and we can do just about any stinking thing that you need as it relates to the management of your career and helping to put you in a position to be successful. But if it doesn't make sense for us, and if it doesn't make sense for you, and I've had these conversations with fighters, listen, I love you. I think that you're a great fighter and you've got a lot of potential, but I don't think that I can provide value in that relationship right now, because I think you can do that on your own. And I'll tell you that. So that's where I'm at. And agree or disagree with me on that for the rest of my team, but that's my personal opinion. And so I want Jules, though, to pick up right where we left off with Fred Pierce. Tell us a little bit about Fred.
So Fred has actually been out on a knee injury for about 6 to 7 months now and is recovering nicely. He is looking to get back in BKFC somewhere around November or December of this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the ring again. This is my brother. I have known him for 22 years, and he is just one of the most humble, good guys that you'll ever meet.
He really is.
He is just
He's a down-to-earth
amazing
person. Awesome dude.
So we're excited for him to come back. I can't wait until he gets involved again.
He's a game fighter, man. That guy comes to throw down every single time, and he'll fight anybody anytime.
He will fight anybody.
He is not scared of anyone.
If you gave it to him tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that dude's the true definition of a combat sports warrior is Fred Pierce. So
yes, absolutely.
Who we got next?
And then next we have Ben Rowland. So, you're on the wrong page. Ben Rowland he is one of our heavyweights, and we actually have a little bit of an offer for him that we've just received within the last day. So we can't release any details on that, but hopefully you all will be seeing him soon in Gamebred.
How about that?
So
there you go.
Buddy Boucher, he is, so I don't know if, we've got him something too. So, we were contacted, I didn't write it down. We were contacted for Buddy as well on the same card as Christine Faria, which is the BKFC card in Billings,
Montana, October 9th.
There we go. And we can't release his opponent because his opponent has not signed yet, but he has. So we're really excited. He's a heavyweight. Buddy is somewhere around 265 right now. Oh, he is a beast. Ramdeen, I know people know her. Okay, so Ramdeen has already fought in BKFC. Her first fight was with Britton Hart. and she lost that fight. Although it was her debut, she has been training since, because she said, when you get in there bare knuckle, it's a lot different. It's a lot different than what she was used to. So now she knows what to expect, and she might be fighting
soon
on the same card, Christine Korea's card.
Yeah.
So I call it Christine's card, because we're all.
She might be. There's a possibility that we could see her in Billings, Montana on October 9th. That's what we can say.
That's what we can say.
It's possible.
Let's see. And Royella Goggins. So she has not made her bare knuckle debut yet. And what I'm really excited about with her is this girl. She has been training specifically for bare knuckle boxing for the last year and a half. And she did that before her debut so that she would be prepared. So I really expect Royella to come out really fiery, And
if you've seen this girl, she is a strong looking individual. She looks like she's very, very physically strong. I'm looking forward to that one, man. That's going to be cool.
I am too. I can't wait till I see her come in the bare knuckle ring. And then we have, Matt Lyle. So one of my friends actually sent me Matt Lyle a while back, because Matt turned around and he told me, nobody in the world will fight me. He said, I cannot find a fight. I am the Muay Thai champion of the world. I've been number one for a long time. And no one will step up anymore. And the first thing that came to my mind was, we have Nate Williams, and they're both 125. These guys are super fast. Oh my gosh. Both of them are, veterans to the game. So could you actually imagine this match between Nate Williams and Matt Lyle?
I'd love to see it. But who do we cheer for, though?
Amazing. We'll divide it. I'll go one way and y'all go we'll flip a coin.
We'll just cheer for Team Bare Knuckles Most Wanted.
I'm going to cheer for a great fight and a cool show, and I'm going to congratulate both men after, if it ever happens. So, all right.
Exactly.
But little teddy bear here is fighting on very soon, right? Titan?
Right. He is actually fighting. I believe it's the 17th. I really need to have a calendar in front of me when we do this, because all of our fighters are booked. I think we have like 2 fighters that don't have a fight yet.
All right, so tell me, how many guys?
And that's ridiculous, guys.
It's ridiculous.
I know. Everybody's fighting. It's great. They're all fighting, and we are working tirelessly to bring in the sponsorship money and sponsorship opportunities and media opportunities. And guys, it's exciting. So how many fighters, what's our total now? Because I know that we have a number of fighters, and I mean, it's getting up there.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16.
16 fighters. So we've got 16 fighters on our roster. Many of those are current or former champions, future champions,
We've
superstars.
got title holders.
Yes,
We've got
title holders,
number one in the world,
superstars or future superstars,
heavyweight contenders.
Yeah, I mean, we've really got some
Maya and Felony and Sarah.
I mean, team. And that's why we are Fight Mixer Management, but we call them, these people that you see on the screen, they are Bare Knuckles Most Wanted. They are Bare Knuckles Most Wanted. That is Team Bare Knuckles Most Wanted, and a really just a very strong group. And I'm very proud of everyone that's on our roster. And of course, Fight Mixer Management. So look us up. Like I said, if you're a prolific amateur or a successful professional in any combat sport, but specifically if you're looking to get into bare knuckle, or if you've already fought bare knuckle, of course we'd like to talk to you and see what makes sense. And again, just have a conversation around what value we can bring. And if I can't bring any value, then I'll say, I don't know that I can provide any value to that relationship right now, but I definitely want to keep. I want to have I want to continue to talk to you,
and we might be able to lead them in the right direction. We 100%. Do have a lot of connections with other management companies.
Absolutely. and
A
not even
perfect
management
example
companies,
of
but
this is Devin. Devin is from Canada, and I love Devin. I am a Devin fan, but Kevin is from Canada too, and Kevin could absolutely do more for Devin than I could. And although I hated to let him go because I'm a little bit stingy, I handed him over to Kevin because I knew that is where he needed to be.
listen, there are a number of really good management agencies out there. And again, my whole thing is I don't want to take money from you when I shouldn't, right? So if you're gonna if someone's gonna pay me to do a job, I want to make sure that I am earning my living and that I'm providing you enough value and that justifies me being there. So that's where I'm at. So, but yeah, that doesn't mean I can't be your friend, and that doesn't mean I don't want to help you. I just don't want to take your money if I haven't earned it. So that's where I'm at. But hey. Another fun show. We have wrapped up the Ranarok Story, I believe, and at least for now. And we'll see what happens if there's any more news that comes out in the future. I'm excited to see what all these guys are going to do in the future. I'm going to follow every single one of them because I'm very interested at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for us tonight, guys. Unless you all have Matt or Jules, if you have anything else.
No,
Nothing at all.
Sweet. Well,
just,
thank you.
Basically, drink more Dringer.
Drink more. Yeah, drink and consume a lot of Dringer products and consume the Dope Champ Delta
Smoke
A
more
products.
dope.
There you go. Consume more Dope Champ products as well. So, but thank you guys very much for tuning in. As always, you guys are the reason that we're here. So, thank you to our listeners more than anything. We're looking forward to keeping this going. So we'll see you guys next time on Bare Knuckles Most Wanted. I'm Matthew Kohler. You got Matt Seibel. You've got Jules Gray. And we are Bare Knuckles Most Wanted podcast. And we're out.
Good night.
Peace.
What we do here is go back.